Most people imagine death row as a place of relentless terror, but some prisoners grow strangely calm, sometimes even happy with every passing year. Decades of waiting, endless routines, and the certainty of fate can transform dread into acceptance. The story behind this psychological shift challenges everything we think we know about life and fear on death row. How does someone find peace with a sentence, "No one escapes"? Lights flicker on at 6 in the morning. Metal doors stand closed, the hallway still. Inside the cell, a figure sits up, feet touching the cold floor. The blanket is folded, corners pressed flat with careful hands. Sheets are pulled tight, smoothed again and again until no crease remains. Breathing is measured, shoulders steady. The silence is broken only by the low hum of fluorescent bulbs and the distant rattle of keys. A tray slides through the slot at the base of the door. Breakfast arrives the same way every day. A plastic cup, a carton of milk, a pale rectangle of toast. The hands lift the cup, pause, set it down. Eating happens in slow, economical movements. There is no rush. Each bite is methodical, each swallow quiet. The tray is pushed back, empty. The ritual is complete. Footsteps begin to mark the floor, measured and even. The cell is small, but the path is well known. 6 steps to the wall, turn, 6 steps back. The rhythm is unbroken, a silent metronome. Sometimes the hands clasp behind the back, sometimes they rest at the sides. The pacing continues, steady as a clock. Shoes scuff softly against concrete, tracing the same route as yesterday and the day before that. A calendar hangs on the wall, numbers crossed out in neat lines. Time moves forward, yet inside the cell, each morning feels identical to the last. The routine holds everything together. A book sits on the shelf, spine creased from use. A pen rests beside a stack of paper, waiting for words that may or may not come today. The cell is clean, possessions lined up with care. Order is not just habit, it is necessity. There is no voice to explain, only the quiet repetition of gestures. The day begins as it always does, in silence, with nothing but the sound of a life contained. Years pass behind the same door. For most, the mind recoils at the thought of waiting decades for an ending that is both certain and unimaginable. Yet on death row, something else takes hold. Psychologists call it habituation, a process where repeated exposure to the same stressor dulls the body's alarm. Inmates in the United States spend an average of more than 20 years waiting for execution. Day after day, the same routines repeat, until the initial shock of the sentence fades into the background noise of daily life. Early months are marked by tension, racing hearts and sleepless nights, vigilance at every sound. But as months turn to years, the body adapts, the breathing slows, muscles unclench. The mind, once flooded with panic, learns to drift through the sameness. Studies of long-term confinement show that the nervous system cannot sustain a constant state of emergency. Instead, it settles into a muted rhythm, punctuated by the small rituals that shape each day. The steady hands that fold a blanket, the careful pacing along a 6-step path, the calm pause before lifting a cup. These are not just habits. They are signs of a system conserving energy, adjusting to a threat that no longer feels immediate. This adaptation does not erase the reality of the sentence. The calendar on the wall still marks time in red ink, each crossed-out day a quiet reminder. But the fear that once pressed in from all sides becomes less acute. Inside the cell, the prisoner's posture is relaxed, breathing even. The silence is no longer oppressive, but familiar. In this suspended world, habituation is not about forgetting what waits at the end. It is about the body and mind finding a way to exist, hour by hour, within the boundaries of certainty. The outside world may imagine terror, but inside, routine and repetition have carved out a space for something quieter, even at times a kind of peace. A wall clock hangs above the door, its second hand ticking out the hours in slow, deliberate circles. On a metal desk, a stack of forms lies beside a pen, each stamped with dates, each carrying the unmistakable imprint of official time. Correctional officers note the schedule in blue ink: cell check at 6 o'clock, meal at 6:20, yard at 7 o'clock, showers on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every action is traced against the grid of institutional time, never a minute early or late. On death row, time is not a vague idea. It is measured, counted, posted in schedules and calendars. When an execution date is set, the news arrives in crisp language. A memo with the hour, the day, the year. The prisoner receives this information not as a surprise, but as a formality, another piece of paper to file away, another number to cross off. The certainty is absolute. There is no guesswork, no shifting horizon. Staff record the moment in their notes. Notification delivered at 10:47 in the morning. The clock above the cell keeps turning, indifferent to the meaning of the hour. Outside, time moves freely. School bells ring. Buses idle at the curb. Children run home as the sun drops behind the trees. Inside, the prisoner's gaze lingers on the calendar, eyes tracing the neat columns of days. Each one is accounted for. There is no open-ended waiting, no hope of reprieve that hovers in the background. The endpoint is fixed, and with it, the shape of anticipation changes. The dread that once spiked with every footstep in the hall is replaced by something quieter. Correctional staff, asked about these final months, speak in measured tones. One writes he is calm. Another notes routine continues as normal. The prisoner folds his blanket, lines up his shoes, marks another day in red. The certainty of the schedule brings a stillness that is hard to explain. For some, knowing the exact end dulls the sharp edge of fear. The minutes pass, not in chaos but in order. Each one counted, each one claimed. A pen rolls between two fingers, tapped once, then set down with care. The desk is cleared, papers stacked in perfect alignment. In this cell, small acts become anchors. A shirt is folded along the same creases each day, the fabric pressed flat against the metal bunk. The rhythm of these gestures is never broken. Each movement a quiet declaration that time, though measured by someone else, still belongs to the one living it. Privileges are rare, earned over years of order and compliance. The right to a haircut is granted only to those who follow every rule. On the appointed day, a chair is placed in the corridor. Clippers buzz, hair falls in slow arcs to the floor. For a few minutes, the world narrows to the sensation of cool air on the scalp, the gentle pressure of hands. Some are allowed a cat, a living companion in exchange for spotless conduct. The animal curls on a blanket, purring softly. Its presence breaks the silence, a small pleasure permitted by policy. These moments are not rewards, but reminders that a life can still contain comfort, even here. Ritual fills the hours. A plastic spoon is washed after each meal, dried and placed precisely beside the cup. Letters are written in careful script, words chosen with deliberation, though the replies may never come. The prisoner traces the outline of a calendar square, pausing before drawing a line through the date. Each ritual is both shield and offering, holding chaos at bay. Meaning is made from repetition. The mind reaches for order where none is given. Does the certainty of the end make these small pleasures sweeter, or does it hollow them out? If acceptance grows in the space where hope once lived, what does it mean to call this happiness? No answer arrives. The pen rests. Silence returns thick and complete. Certainty, even of the end, can bring an unexpected calm. Today, thousands live for years inside these routines, their emotions shaped not by hope or fear, but by acceptance. The real paradox isn't death, it's how the human mind adapts to meet it. What would your certainty look like?